Okay. We're gonna do the Arabic guy first, right? Okay. Morning, everybody.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
All right, we're going to take Mr. Gassam Wheat first for the Arabic interpreter.
Yes, ma'am.
Is your true name Gassam John Chol Wheat?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is the time set for an initial appearance.
قاسم،
Yes.
هذا الظهور الأول لك بالمحكمة، أنا المترجم رح ترجم لك.
تمام.
You have been arrested on
Go
charges
ahead, Your
of,
Honor.
thank you. You've been arrested on charges of shoplifting and failure to appear. It's a case stemming from 2023.
أنت اليوم هون لأنك متهم بسرقة من محل، سرقة صغيرة من محل، ولأنك ما أجيت على محكمة من قضية من عام 2023.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
عندك الحق أنك ما تحكي ولا شيء اليوم، أي شيء ممكن تحكيه بالمحكمة يمكن يستخدم ضدك.
You have the right
Go
to be
ahead.
represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you.
وعندك الحق القانوني انك تجيب محامي يمثلك بالمحكمة، واذا ما عندك فلوس نحن ممكن نعين لك محامي من المحكمة.
I'm going to
Go
appoint,
ahead.
thank you. I'm going to appoint Anna Dennis to represent you. I'm going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond.
القاضي حتعين انا دينيس لتكون المحامية تبعك، هي من دون فلوس، وحتحطك على $500 كاش كفالة مالية، كاش تقدر تطلع. بدك حدا يروح يحط $500 كفالة مالية.
Your next court date is January 10th, which is tomorrow at 1 p.m. in Pima County Justice Court.
بكرة الساعة 1 بالمحكمة الرئيسية، بدك عندك محكمة الساعة 1، بدك تكون هناك. Go ahead.
If you bond out, you are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs and do not return to the incident location.
إذا دفعت الكفالة المالية اليوم وطلعت، ممنوع إنك تستعمل أي كحول أو أي مخدرات، وما ترجع للمحل يلي صار فيه المشكلة، صار فيه السرقة.
And sir, there's also a hold for felony charges that's been placed on you as well.
في عندك قضية جناية قديمة موجودة عليك.
Do you understand, sir?
عم تفهم كل شيء يا قاسم؟
ما افهم شيء. انا قبل كم ايام انا كنت هنا في الكورت هنا، وقالوا لي نفس القضيه، خلوني ادفع $1000 وعشان اطلع من هنا. تاني دلوقتي بيقول لي ادفع $500. انا معيش فلوس عشان ادفع كل الكلام ده. وانا حتى حق علي ان انا ليش جابوني هنا اليوم. بيقول عندي ورم عشان جابوني هنا، بس انا ما فوت يعني ما رفضت اي يوم من الكورت عشان اسحر فيه.
طيب He's denying that he failed to appear in any courts. He doesn't understand why. He's saying he appeared about 8 days ago and paid $1,000 bond, and now they're asking him to pay a $500 cash bond. He really doesn't have any money. He's kind of confused, doesn't understand what's going on.
So, sir, there's two separate cases. There's a felony case that you may have bonded out on. This is a misdemeanor case from 2023 for shoplifting. So I am ordering that you're going to be held on $500 bond. It's a different case. And that is all for today. Thank you.
القاضي عم تقول انه في عندك قضيتين مختلفين، واحدة جنحة وواحدة جناية. انت دفعت ال1000 على الجناية، اليوم انت جاي هون جنحة، السرقة هي جنحة فقط، فعليك تدفع $500 لتقدر تطلع. هذا كل شيء اليوم، فاذا بدك تطلع حط $500. اوكي.
Thank you. You're excused, sir.
فيك تروح هلا يا قاسم.
انا مش فاهم ايه يا حاجه، جابوني هنا اليوم ليش جابوني هنا اليوم؟ ما انا ما اعرف اجي هنا ليه.
الجنحة من 2023، الجنحة السرقة.
عشان السنه ما انا كله دفعنا.
We have 30 other cases to get to. You're excused for today. Please
فيك
depart the chair. Sounds good. Thank you.
Am I excused, Your Honor?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. All right. Good morning, ma'am. Is your true name Angelica Monique Garcia?
Yes,
For an initial appearance, you've been arrested on a charge of shoplifting for failing to appear. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. So, Ms. Garcia, because you failed to appear, I am going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. Your attorney is Jill Gukin. You have court tomorrow at 1 p.m. in Pima County Justice Court in front of Judge Steele. That is for your arraignment. Do you understand? All right, that's all for today. Thank you.
In here?
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Michael Hackathorn?
Yes, ma'am.
This is a concept of initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of disorderly conduct for failing to appear. Sorry. Yeah, for the jail, we're getting a lot of feedback on the mic. If you guys could please mute your mics. Thank you. All right, sir. This is the time set for your initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of disorderly conduct and criminal trespass for failing to appear in Pima County Justice Court in June of last year. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Sir, because you failed to appear, I am going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. Your court date is tomorrow at 1 p.m. Your attorney is Jill Gukin from OCAC to represent you. If you do post the bond, you are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons. Do you understand? All right, that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we need the public defender. Is the public defender there?
They're on their way now.
Okay, thank you. Is perfect.
Hello, Judge Carter Santini here for the account.
So the detective in this case has requested that this initial appearance be continued to tonight's session. I have a statement of probable cause. I don't have an interim complaint that I've signed off on. Are the parties okay with that?
No objection. That's okay, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Thomas, we're going to continue your hearing to tonight so that the arresting officer, the detective, can present to the judge the interim complaint so the judge can assess probable cause. So you're going to be seen tonight at an initial appearance. You will have an attorney with you at that point in time. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. That's it for today. Thank you.
Little side bond and stuff tonight, okay? Are you gonna be my attorney? Someone else will come back for you. Yeah, because I think my dad right now in juvenile, right? Yeah, my dad got me. You know who? I'm sent to my dad. Give his number. I can give it to him. See who's going. My dad? Yes. 0 373 2427 2427. Yes. No worries. Best of luck, Thomas. Thank you. I mean, what?
And I believe it's the same request for Mr. Villa, his co-defendant.
Okay, that's my application. Come on. Are you seeing?
Good morning, sir, Mr. Villa. We're going to continue this initial appearance session to tonight. You will be represented by an attorney tonight. The detective in the case wants to present more information to the court to make a determination of probable cause. So we will see you tonight, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Are you needed to? No.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Anthony Richard Lopez? I think they're muted.
Sorry, Your Honor.
That's okay. Thank you, Carter. Sir, is your true name Anthony Richard Lopez?
Yes, it is.
This is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on a warrant for failing to appear regarding a shoplifting and criminal trespass offense
Yes,
from November of last year. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Sir, because you failed to appear, I'm going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. Your court date is tomorrow at 1 p.m. in front of Judge Steele, Pima County Justice Court. Your attorney is Jill Gukin. We're going to provide her contact information. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs and do not return to the incident location. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, sir. Is your true name Ronnie Jesus Ramirez Jr.? He's muted. Let's see. Okay, sir, is your true name Ronnie Jesus Ramirez Jr.?
Good morning. Yes, it is.
All right, this is a time set for an initial appearance. You're here on 4 separate cases, 3 of which are older, where you failed to appear on a disorderly conduct in 2023, criminal trespass in 2023, and another criminal trespass from a different date in 2023. You're also here on new charges of trespass that occurred January 8th. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. So, Mr. Ramirez, because you have failed to appear, I'm going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond on all of these cases. Your attorney is William Parvin. I'm going to provide his phone number for you. Your court date is tomorrow at 1 p.m. in Pima County Justice Court for all of your cases. You are to possess or consume no alcohol. In the domestic violence case, no acts of domestic violence or weapons. And do not return to the incident location. Do you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Arvis Lee Harvey III?
Yes.
All right, this is a time set for a review hearing. You are being held on a $15,000 cash or secured bond on a warrant out of Maricopa County. We are simply going to continue to review this warrant until your local charges are resolved. So your next court date is February 10th at 9 a.m. Do you understand?
Yep.
All right, that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Whatever the part says.
Right here.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Your true name, Kawana Sherry Hunter.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of domestic violence, assault, and disorderly conduct. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. In some instances, if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. So, Ms. Hunter, I am going to allow you to be released on your promise to appear. It does not look like you have any felony history or criminal history. The parties involved here are wishing to have contact with you and for you to return to the home. So you are released on your promise to appear. Your next court date is an arraignment, January 16th at 8:30 a.m. That's in Green Valley Justice Court. We're going to give you the address and phone number. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons. Do you understand?
I do.
All right, that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Tony John Shute?
Yes.
This is the time set
Shudy.
for Shudy. Okay, sorry about that. So, Mr. Shudy, this is the time set for an initial appearance. A warrant issued for your arrest from a 2019 shoplifting charge. And then you're also arrested on new charges of possession of drug paraphernalia and criminal trespass. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. So, sir, based on the age of this case, I'm going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. Your court date is tomorrow at 1 p.m. in Pima County Justice Court. Your attorney is Anna Dennis. We're going to give you her contact information. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs and do not return to the incident location. And in the new charge, the bond remains the same. Your attorney is Anna Dennis, and you are to possess or consume no alcohol and do not return to the incident location. Again, your court date for that is also tomorrow at 1. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. Good morning, sir. Is your true name Jason? Is your true name Jason Wilson?
Correct.
This is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of domestic violence, disorderly conduct, and fighting, domestic violence assault, and refusing an emergency to allow an emergency call. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. In some instances, if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. So, sir, based on your lack of criminal history, I am going to allow you a chance to be released on your promise to appear. Your spouse, Miss Wilson, is asking that you not return to the home. She wants, I guess, telephonic contact with you, so you're not to return to her residence or workplace. You may return one time with a police escort if this is your residence to pick up any belongings that you have. And again, she's wanting contact, just not at your joint residence. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, no firearms or weapons. Your court date is February 10th at 10:30 a.m. That's Pima County Justice Court, Judge Foreman. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Ernesto Ruben Mejia Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, this is the time set for an initial appearance. You have been arrested on several charges where you have failed to appear, criminal damage, domestic violence, multiple charges of disorderly conduct, criminal damage, and drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Give me just a minute, please. All right, so sir, I am going to order that you be held on $2,500 cash bond based on the age of these. There's also a probation petition to revoke your probation in one of the cases. You are appointed the city public defender to represent you. If you post the bond, you are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms, no contact with any victim, their residence or incident location or workplace. Your next court date is January 15th at 1:30 p.m. in front of Judge Million. That's Tucson City Court. Do you understand?
I don't. Can you repeat it again, please?
Which part? The beginning? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been arrested on multiple charges where you have failed to appear, also new charges of disorderly conduct and drug paraphernalia. This is your initial appearance, okay? I'm going to appoint you an attorney, the city public defender, and your court date is January 15th at 1:30 p.m. in front of Judge Million. Your bond
Your
is
Honor,
$2,500 cash. Do you understand? So you have an attorney, city public defender. I would urge you to contact them with your questions, okay?
I don't understand. I don't understand. I
I would,
literally don't.
I would urge you to contact your attorney with questions, okay? That's all for today, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is the Spanish court interpreter. Can we check with the jail to see if there's any Spanish speakers?
Sure. I don't see any on the list, but does the jail have that information?
We have no notes for the Spanish speaker.
Okay.
May the
Thank you.
interpreter be excused, Your Honor.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. All right. Good morning, ma'am. Is your true name Imelda Parra?
Yes, ma'am.
This is a time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on multiple charges where you have failed to appear out of Tucson City Court. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I will appoint the City Public Defender's Office to represent you. And based on the age of these cases, ma'am, I am going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs. Do not go to the incident location of the alleged shoplift and criminal trespass. Do you understand?
Criminal trespassing. I got arrested in front of my mom's house.
So these are older charges: criminal trespass, shoplifting, possession of drug paraphernalia. Your new charges are possession of drug paraphernalia. So we're talking about older charges.
Okay.
Okay.
And for my felony charge.
I don't see a felony charge, but you do have court on all of these cases that I just talked about on the 17th at 1:45 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
Morning, ma'am. Is your true name Alyssa Solarin?
Yes.
All right, this is a time set for an initial appearance. You are here on charges of knowingly touching with an intent to injure, criminal deface, and disorderly conduct. You are also being detained without bond on a probation violation warrant out of Pima County Superior Court. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be arrested for you. I'm sorry, one will be appointed for you. I am going to appoint the City Public Defender's Office to represent you. So Ms. Solarin, I am going to order that you be held on $1,000 cash bond in this case. Again, you are being held without bond on your felony case. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons, no contact of any kind with the alleged victim or the victim's residence or workplace or the incident location. Your court date is January 15th at 1:30 p.m. in front of Judge Millian, Tucson City Court. And you may have other court dates for your probation case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all for today. Thank you.
Okay. That's it.
All right. Good morning, sir. We're going to also need the public defender.
Okay.
Morning, sir. Is your true name Donald Albert Delgado Jr.?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
This is a time set for an initial appearance. You have been arrested on a felony warrant for failing to appear on a charge of attempt to commit murder in the first degree, discharging a firearm in the city limit. possession of a deadly weapon by a prohibited possessor. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I'm going to appoint the Pima County Legal Defender's Office to represent you. The state is asking that you be held on bond. Neil?
Your Honor, state's asking for a $1 million bond. This defendant on the date and time alleged in the petition is alleged to have shot the defendant several times in the chest. Defendant is still in intensive care, intubated, and is in extremely critical condition, Your Honor. What I am seeing here, one moment, is that Your Honor, it doesn't get any more serious. This person is on video having shot somebody twice in the chest. $1 million.
Thank you. Carter, do you have a recommendation?
Judge, we'd ask for a more reasonable bond than that, noting that he is indigent and does have confirmed housing with his sister.
All right. So, Mr. Delgado, I'm going to find that you are a threat to the community and the victim. I'm going to order that you be held on $1 million cash or secured bond, pretrial services, supervision. If you are posting that, you are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, monitoring by pretrial, no contact with the alleged victim or their residence and workplace. Your court date is January 21st at 1:30 p.m. for a preliminary hearing in Pima County Justice Court. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, that's all for today. Give me just 1 minute, please. All right. Good morning, sir. Is your true name Enrique Daniel Gutierrez?
Yeah.
This is the time set for an initial appearance. You were arrested on charges of sexual abuse, burglary, kidnapping, and aggravated assault. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I am going to appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you in this matter. State is recommending that you be held on bond. Neil?
Your Honor, state requests $200,000 for the following reasons. On the date, time, and location in the interim complaint, the defendant is alleged to have accosted a 70-year-old woman who was taking her morning walk, walked up to her, started sexually propositioning her very lewdly, grabbed her buttocks, and then proceeded to reiterate that he was interested. And then when she told him to get away, he drove away. Now, on the second incident, the same day, the defendant is alleged to have been accosted by this individual while she was out taking out her trash. He approached her, propositioned her, grabbed her in a sexual manner several times, and then followed her into the apartment. The victim reported that the individual followed her into the apartment, grabbed her wrist, closed and locked the door behind him, trapping her in her own apartment with this assailant, and then began to sexually harass her by touching and making lewd and sexual propositions and suggestions to this elderly woman. When the victim stated she was going to call the police, the defendant then did flee. There is forensic evidence pending, and the apartment complex, and she did go to the hospital because her wrist was sprained by the defendant's violent and vile actions. The apartment complex's video surveillance system did yield images of a vehicle fitting the description given by the victims, and also that happened to be registered to the defendant's mom. $200,000, Your Honor. This person is sexually attacking geriatric women who have a right to be left alone.
Thank you. Mr. Santini?
Judge, I understand that the allegations are incredibly serious in this case, but I would like to point to the fact that Mr. Gutierrez has no criminal history. He does have confirmed housing with his mother, and he is a lifelong Tucson resident. So in those ways, he does not show himself as a flight risk and could be released to his mother. I would also like to note that he is young. And have transportation to court, community ties. If you are inclined to impose a bond, Judge, I would like to note that he is indigent, and that any bond would be difficult for him to pay. So a $200,000 bond would be clearly excessive and is not supposed to be used as punishment for the action. So I believe that a more reasonable $1,100 bond would be appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. I am going to find that you're a threat to the community and a threat to the victims based on the nature of these charges. I'm going to order that you be held on $200,000 cash or secured bond, pretrial supervision if you post that bond, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, monitoring by pretrial services, no contact whatsoever with the alleged victims or their residence and workplace. Your next court date is January 21st at 1:30 p.m. Do you understand? Right, that's all for today.
Look, you'll be able to see the same. So it's no worries.
Good morning, ma'am. Is your name? Is it Dejana?
Vigiana Robertson, yes.
Gianna Robertson. All right. Good morning. This is the time set for an initial appearance. You have been arrested on charges of criminal damage and disorderly conduct, domestic violence. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. In some instances, if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. So, Ms. Robertson, based on your lack of criminal history, I am going to allow you to be released on your promise to appear. The parties involved in this incident are wanting to have contact and wanting you to return to your shared residence. So you are allowed to do that. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, no firearms or weapons. I am going to release you on your promise to appear. Your court date is coming up quick, January 16th at 8:30 a.m. in Green Valley, just and phone number. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, that's all for today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Val, you go to that up.
Good morning, ma'am. Your true name, Sally Anderson.
Yes, Your Honor.
The time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of organized retail theft and aggravated shoplifting. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I'm going to appoint the Pima County legal advocate to represent you in this matter. State is asking for a no bond. Neil?
Your Honor, this defendant is on release in Pima County KCR 2020-0043 based on the fact that she caught a new case while she was out on release. State is asking for no bond.
Thank you. So Carter, I do need to set that no bond. Is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, Judge, I mean, over my objection, Miss Anderson is currently in Rule 11 in that case. She had a warrant sometime, I think last year or the year before. I'm having trouble getting my free trial documents up here. But has made her court dates in that case. There's some pretty serious mental health concerns going on there. I would like to note that her criminal history since 1998 has only been these sort of property shoplifting offenses. That's not to minimize. That's just to say that I don't believe she's a danger to the community. She is getting services through Kodak. She has housing through her brother, Steve. That's been confirmed. She has longstanding ties to the community of 40 years. And once again, confirmed housing in third-party custody. So I understand the state's position, and they do have a right to hold the no bond hearing. But if they are going to ask for a bond at that time, I would just ask that we do the IA now. That would be my position, but I understand the state's position. And she would like the court to know that she is struggling with brain aneurysm and has, as she's related to me, a surgery next week through TMC. I think the brain aneurysm is part of what's leading to the competency concerns. That's all I'd like the court to know.
Thank you. All right. So, ma'am, I am required by law to set this no bond hearing. You will have an opportunity to, negotiate with the state, and if present your case at that time. They may come in and ask for a bond, but I do need to hold that hearing based on the fact that you are presumed to have committed a felony and you are on release for another felony. So that will be January 14th at 2:30 p.m. In Pima County Superior Court. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs. If you do bond out, eventually you're monitored by pretrial, and you are not to go to the incident location of the alleged shoplift. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, that's all for today.
Vice.
For Vice? I think I have. For this one? No. Is that? I did. Is he going to be here? Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Is Mr. Blishak on the line?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. I'm interested, or I want to represent Mr. Baez. Sorry to be so forward, but before we start, I just want a chance to review the Form 4 or any probable cause statement. I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay. So do you want us to pass this matter so that you can review that?
I would ask the court to just wait maybe 3 minutes, at least just let me see what the charges are and see if it's a short paragraph. I think it may be only 1 page, maybe 2 pages, or skip this matter if the court's able to, but I don't need very much time, just a little bit to have the opportunity to see.
I'm fine with that, Mr. Blishak. I'm going to ask you to resubmit your notice of appearance. You're listing the wrong defendant in the caption.
Oh,
This is Mr.
That's the last-
Nathan Baez.
Sorry, Judge, I'll fix that right now.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Bias, your attorney is requesting a moment, so I'm going to ask you to step back and we'll call the next case. And then we'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Carl Culpepper?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Sorry, you also have been arrested on a weapons charge as well. I'm going to appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. The state is requesting that you be held on bond. Neil, anything to add?
Your Honor, this would have been a straightforward drug charge, but for the fact that he had a Glock 9mm in the vehicle, and he had what looks like crystal-like residue, which I can only assume to be which I can only guess. And yes, I understand that this statement only says crystal-like residue. I would presume it to be methamphetamine, as well as a certain amount of M30s. And given that, Your Honor, the state is looking at a $2,500 bond. State does not feel comfortable releasing PTS, a person with drugs and a firearm.
Thank you. Counsel?
Judge, I'm going to ask that the firearm charge be dismissed for lacking probable cause on the basis of the Second Amendment and the Arizona Constitution. It's not like he used the firearm, displayed the firearm. He was constitutionally carrying. He's not a prohibited possessor. He has no felony criminal history or misdemeanor criminal history to my knowledge. I know we're having some issues with the city court right now, but I don't. From the information I have, he has nothing that would possibly make him a prohibited possessor, and he didn't even. The gun was in the car. It wasn't. He notified the officers of where it was. He advised he had it. He told them the location. This is not a man who's running on the streets with a gun, selling drugs or intimidating officers with a gun. This just had a gun. There was a gun in the car where there were also drugs. This does not pose a threat to public safety. This does not pose a threat to, this does not show that he would be a flight risk. So for those reasons, Judge, I would ask that one, the weapons charge be dismissed and that he be released to pretrial services. He has no history of failing to appear. He's lived in Tucson for 2 years. Once again, no history. He's staying with his mom on 7th Avenue. We can confirm that. So for those reasons, Judge, I would ask for Mr. Culpepper's release today.
Your Honor?
Neil?
Your Honor?
Yeah.
I would point the court's attention to ARS 31-3102 Alpha 8, using or possessing a deadly weapon during the commission of any felony offense within Chapter 34 of that title is conduct involving weapons in a drug offense. Your Honor, the fact is he is in possession of a deadly weapon, the Glock, whilst in alleged possession of what looked like crystal meth, as well as a amount of M30s. Now, if the defense wants to challenge this on constitutional grounds, that's fine. That's going to be an appellate matter or an interlocutory appeal. But at this point, Your Honor, there is clear conduct constituting a weapons misconduct charge. And to the best of my knowledge, there hasn't been any Supreme Court ruling abrogating the possession of a weapon during a drug offense charge.
Thank you. The court agrees. I do find probable cause for the weapons offense. The statute is pretty clear here that if you've committed that, if you're alleged to have committed a drug crime and have a gun, then you can be charged with that offense. So I do find probable cause. I am going to order that the defendant be held on $2,500 bond, cash or secured, pretrial services if posted. Sir, if you post that bond, you are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons. Monitoring by pretrial services. Do not go to the incident location. I know this was related to the previous case of a shoplift. Your next court date is at the Coles. Your next court date is January 21st at 1:30 p.m. That is your preliminary hearing in Pima County Justice Court. Do you understand, sir? I can't hear him.
Yeah, once.
Was there a question, Mr. Santini?
No, Joe. What was the attorney's office?
I'm sorry?
What was the attorney's office?
Pima County Public Defender's Office.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, are we ready on the Mr. Bias? Okay, thanks. Mr. Bush?
Yes, Your Honor, we can proceed.
All right, so good morning, sir. Is your true name Nathan Bias?
Yes, yes.
All right, this is a time set for an initial appearance. You have been arrested on charges of aggravating driving or actual physical control while under the influence and while driving the wrong way on a highway. And there's also a misdemeanor charge, I believe, that's associated with that. No. Okay, you do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. You've retained Mr. Blishak, so I'm going to relieve the public defender's office. Hold on a second. Do it. All right, so I'm going to leave the conditions of release with the public defender's office checked on here, and then Mr. Blishak, you can work that out if you're going to be retained on the entire matter. I don't know if you're appearing just for this hearing.
Thank you for asking, Your Honor. At this point, I will represent Mr. Bias the entirety of his case.
Okay. All right, so I'll just make a note that okay. So, sir, the state is recommending that you be held on a bond. Neil?
Your Honor, on the date alleged in the complaint and detailed in the interim complaint, the defendant was driving eastbound on the westbound lanes of Ina Road in the vicinity of Shannon. This time and location speaks to a location where there are a lot of taverns and a time when they often close. The individual was observed by police officers driving for approximately 200 feet in the wrong direction, passing many opportunities to correct his direction. When he was stopped, it was alleged that police alleged to have seen him stumbling, not able to keep his balance, and he performed very poorly on the field sobriety tests, Your Honor. This is a fairly heavily trafficked area of Ina, and honestly, Your Honor, this is very concerning because honestly, he could have killed somebody.
Thank you. Mr. Blishak, is there anything you want to say?
Yes, Your Honor, probable cause. I move to dismiss the charges as no probable cause. According to the statement produced by the government, we don't have the location. I know Mr. Neal has said into the record that it was on. I'm sorry, sir, what?
It's posted.
My last name is Poston.
Poston. Oh, right there, I can read. Okay. Mr. Poston has articulated that it was on Ina Road, but there's no facts as to exactly what lane he was in or how he violated a DUI to rise to A5 as the wrong way on the highway. There's simply not enough facts. And aside from that, we have the officers claim that Mr. Bias's eyes were red, that there was an odor of intoxicants coming from Mr. Bias's breath. And we have 4 of 8 cues on the walk and turn. Your Honor, these are not reliable enough to reach probable cause that Mr. Bias was impaired to the slightest degree. The PBT would not come into court. We don't have an actual reading. We don't know any blood or breath. So I would ask the court as probable cause to dismiss this felony. And then, if Your Honor, I would also like to be heard on release conditions as well, if you want me to continue right now.
I'll let Mr. Poston respond.
Your Honor, I'm looking at the PC statement. It says there's the stamp that appears on every traffic related. I see that I've seen that says West Ina and North Shannon, and Your Honor, it does not. What I see in the actual narrative is he was traveling eastbound in the westbound lane on a divided highway. It's obvious because it's stamped West Ina and North Shannon. Now that is enough to get to the A5. Let's back up and look at the DUI. We got red, watery, and bloodshot eyes, odor of intoxicants, and poor performance on the SFSTs. These are all red, watery, and bloodshot eyes, odor of alcohol, inability to stand up straight and balance. These are all well-established NHTSA cues of impairment, one of the causes of which may be the ingestion of intoxicants such as alcohol. Next, we have the absolutely poor performance on all the SFSTs, which again gives additional reasonable suspicion to the stop officer that this person was impaired to the slightest degree. And again, yes, the PBT result number does not come in to this. And we're getting way ahead of ourselves, Your Honor, because this is something that comes in at trial. It states it registered a positive result. And as the court is well aware, the PBT number never comes in at trial. The fact that it is another tool with the officer to determine the presence of alcohol and rule out other possible intoxicants does come in. It was positive. Any one of these symptoms, if they occurred only in isolation, perhaps could be discounted as spurious, extraneous, what have you. However, in their totality, there's ample indicia. There's ample evidence to arrive at a PC decision in this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poston. Court does agree there's probable cause for this offense. Mr. Blishak, do you wish to be heard on release conditions?
Yes, Your Honor. And just for the record, I do see Mr. Poston pointing out the stamp, which I overlooked. As you know, I kind of jumped onto this hearing last minute. So I apologize for that. Mr. Bias is a member of the Tucson community. I believe he's lived in Tucson for maybe 8 years or so. He coaches children in a soccer club. So he is a member of the community, has community ties, is not a flight risk. The coaching is his business. That's how he makes his money. He's gainfully employed. And the causal connection to his job or children, I know that Your Honor is interested in protecting the Tucson community, but this incident is a nightlife restaurant establishment incident at nighttime, entirely connected. There's no specific victim. And this is certainly a wake-up call for Mr. Bias. It would deter him. So I had to ask the court to release Mr. Bias on his own recognizance. He does have an attorney as well.
Thank you. So, Mr. Bias, I am going to order that you be held on $5,000 cash or secured bond. I do find that you're a danger to the community. This is alleged to be a pretty egregious offense. Your next court date is January 21st at 1:30 p.m. That's Pima County Justice Court for your preliminary hearing. You are to not drive without a valid license, do not drink and drive, no alcohol or illegal drugs, and you're going to be monitored by pretrial services. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, that's all for today.
Thank you for letting me appear last minute, Your Honor.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
Mr. Vilchak, do you want me to, oh, never mind. It's gonna include his number on the paperwork, but. What? Yeah, you're done. No worries. Take all of these.
Seat, please.
Good morning, ma'am. Is your true name Brittany Elise Davis?
Ma'am.
This is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of possession of a dangerous drug, possession of a narcotic drug, possession of drug paraphernalia. We also need to address a Tucson City Court case from earlier last year where you failed to appear on a DUI misdemeanor case. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I'm going to appoint the Pima County legal advocate to represent you. The state is recommending that you be held on a bond. Neil?
Your Honor, for Miss Davis, state notes a rather high risk of NCA, FTA, prior convictions, history of revocation of probation, $5,000.
Thank you. Mr. Santini?
Yeah, Your Honor, I think if we look at that criminal history that Neil points out, it's non-violent history. She's not a risk to the community, Judge. She has an issue. She does have confirmed housing with her mom on hold. And the information I have through pre-trial says that this is a smart court qualifying case. So I think that we give her the shot to get out, to show the court that she can make these court appearances and turn it around. Give her a chance to enter that diversionary program, or at least, show the state that she's willing to make some changes. So for those reasons, Judge, I believe that Ms. Davis should be released, either on her own recognizance or with the pretrial service supervision.
Thank you. All right, so Ms. Davis, I am going to order that you be held on $5,000 cash or secured bond based on your score on the pretrial services workup of your risk to reoffend and your risk for non-appearance. You do have a steps review hearing January 16th at 9 a.m. You'll be transported to that hearing if you're eligible for the steps diversion program. If you're not, you will not. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs. You're going to be monitored by pretrial services if you do post the bond. And then we need to talk about your city court DUI case. Based on the age of that case and your failure to appear, I'm going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. Your next court hearing is January 17th at 1:45 p.m. in front of Judge Sergio, Tucson City Court. Again, you are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs. You are to not drive without a valid license and do not drink and drive. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That's all for today.
So I know this is in Spanish. This is your bond. This is your attorney's phone number. Give them a call. It might not be assigned yet. And then this is your next course. And this is your state. Okay. I don't know why they don't have them in English right now. No worries. No, I don't know. There's no. Do you know where they keep these for the? No, this is only the Spanish one. There might be some in pretrial.
Maybe.
No, they're all Spanish.
I'll let you go.
Are there any back there? Okay.
Duran?
Hey, Carter, on that handout, on the steps court handout, I think that Megan Page is revising that based on information received from the court. So,
Oh,
you might want to check with her and not hand that out.
oh, this isn't the steps court handout. This is the like. It's just something we give that's like
Oh.
it shows the bond amount in the. We have stopped giving the steps handout. This is just like bond amount in legal numbers. So I'm kind of just writing the English translations like we speak Spanish, but
It's in Spanish.
it's we only have Spanish ones.
Okay, all right. Sure. All right, so is your true name Eric Duran?
Correct.
All right, this is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on narcotic drug possession and drug paraphernalia possession. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I'm going to appoint the Pima County legal office to represent you. The state is recommending a bond. Neil?
Your Honor, after further review, we're looking at 3 bills. State dismisses without prejudice on the basis of de minimis facts.
Mr. Duran, the state is dismissing your case without prejudice, so you do not have any further obligations. Regarding this case, you will be released today, other than I would direct you to keep your address updated with the U.S. Postal Service. The state does have 7 years with which to bring these charges if they choose. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's all for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, sir. Good luck.
Good morning, ma'am. Is your true name?
No, I take my inhaler every 2 hours and she won't give it to me. At home, I take it every 2 hours.
We might have a medical emergency here from the jail side of things. She's alleging that the jail is not giving her the proper medication. Can she have her name? Or is there the nurses? The nurses taking it? We might want to continue this for.
State moves to
Yeah,
continue
I'm
to
not
this.
comfortable doing this.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and move this to tonight. Thanks.
No.
Well, no, we can just put her to the end of the calendar. If the nurse can get that done quickly.
All I'm asking is my inhaler. I asked her, I said I take my inhaler every 2 hours.
All right, we'll pass this so she can get her medical attention, Carter.
I don't want to pass it.
No, we'll be back. We'll still do it this morning. But if you guys can take her to.
Ms.
It's okay.
Espinosa, it appears that you can't breathe. I want you to get medical attention right now, and I'm going to see you in a few minutes. So please go and get your medical attention.
Okay.
Take her back.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Alexander Perkins?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of possession of a narcotic drug and possession of drug paraphernalia. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I will appoint the Pima County Legal Defender's Office to represent you in this matter. The state is recommending that you be held on bond based on the warrant out of Pulaski County. Is that right, Neil? Neil?
They can't spend. She can't spend as much as. Yeah.
Mr. Poston? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now, Your Honor?
Yes.
All right. The state believes that the 3 out of 6 for the FTA is a bit lowballing, considering he's got a probation violation warrant out of Arkansas. State would recommend a $5,000 bond plus PTS.
Thank you.
And honestly, but he may be eligible for SMART. However, I'm not entirely sure given the lack of information regarding the Arkansas issue.
Thank you. Mr. Santini?
Judge, the information I have on the Arkansas warrant is that he had been picked up on that before. It's not extraditable. And his information that he's getting from Arkansas is that that warrant has been quashed. They're crediting him for the 30 days he did here last time. And just that matter is done. That's the information I have on that warrant. I think that the 3 out of 6 is perfectly reasonable, but he will make his court date. He does have ample ties to the community. He has 2 kids that he is worried about. He works as a day laborer in town. He has confirmed housing over on Pantano. I don't believe he poses a flight risk, Judge. And once again, that warrant's not extraditable. So for those reasons, Judge, I would be asking for his release to pretrial services or on his own recognizance.
Right.
Or if you are entitled to a bond, Judge, I think $5,000 would be excessive given his occupation as a day laborer, and a much more reasonable $500 to $1,100 bond, especially given the allegations, is more appropriate.
All right. So, Mr. Perkins, I'm going to allow you an opportunity to be released to the supervision of pretrial services. You have a court date. You have a steps hearing next week, January 16th. You may be eligible for steps diversion.
Thank you, Judge.
You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs. You'll be monitored by pretrial services. I will also request and ask that if you are willing to waive your preliminary hearing so that we can try to enroll you in the diversion program if you're eligible. So at this point, we're asking people to waive their preliminary hearing 45 days. For you, that would be February 24th. Carter, do you want to talk to him about that?
Yeah. He's good with it.
All right, sir. So we're going to waive your preliminary hearing to February 24th in order to accommodate your possible enrollment in the STEPS diversion program. So we'll see you next week, January 16th at 9 a.m. Pima County Superior Court. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No worries, man. Have a good one. Oh, did you give me this card? You just left. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. You want to did they give you an hour?
No, she didn't.
All right, so we're back on Ms.
Why don't you bring
Espinosa.
All right, Judge, this is the nurse. It's been 4 hours. I take it every 2. She had an albuterol treatment at 7 o'clock this morning. She's not due for anything until after 11 o'clock. Her saturation, her oxygenation rate. Take it every 2 hours at home. At 97. I take 5 milligrams albuterol. And budesonide at home. Fucking fine.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Nurse. Ms. Espinosa, do you feel comfortable proceeding with this initial appearance right now?
I feel comfortable, but the thing is that she's not even listening to my lungs. You can clearly hear me wheezing.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you deal with that after court. I'm going to go ahead and do your initial appearance now. This is the time set for an initial appearance. You have been arrested on charges of aggravated assault on a peace officer. There's also domestic violence, disorderly conduct, misdemeanor case. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I am going to appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you in this matter. State is asking that you be held on bond. Neil?
Your Honor, in this matter, one moment. This person is accused of ag assault on a law enforcement officer and is a new violent crime, a risk, NVCA, yes, as well as a 3 out of 4. After she'd been placed under arrest for DVDLC, this person is alleged to have assaulted an officer by kicking them several times. Given all of the foregoing, 5,000 plus PTS.
You, Carter?
I think 5,000 is pretty clearly excessive for Miss Espinosa. One, Judge, just with the medical issues that she's experiencing, I think weighs towards release. She does have confirmed housing. I believe she has no prior felony history, and from my knowledge, no prior misdemeanor history.
She does, Carter.
Does she have felony history?
There's no felonies, but she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 misdemeanor DV disorderly conduct and fighting with the same alleged victim as is before the court today on the misdemeanor case.
My apologies, Judge. I had some issues getting the criminal history today. But I just think, especially given her medical condition right now, how she's presenting, that her release should be in the hospital right now. And quite frankly, I think $5,000 is incredibly effective. Much more appropriate would be $500 to $1,100.
Thank you. All right, so Ms. Espinosa, on the felony offense, I'm going to order that you be held on $2,500, cash or secured, pretrial services if posted, no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, monitoring by pretrial, no contact with the alleged victim. Your court date is January 21st at 1:30 p.m., Pima County Justice Court.
Usually in the, I go to SMI court. I go to mental health court usually.
All right, and Ms. Espinosa, the other case is a domestic violence charge that you've been arrested for, disorderly conduct with the same victim that is involved in your other cases that I mentioned earlier. I'm going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, no firearms or weapons, no contact with the alleged victim or the alleged victim's residence or workplace. Your attorney is Anna Dennis. We're going to give you her contact information. Your court date is tomorrow at 1 p.m. in front of Judge Steele, Pima County Justice Court. And you can now go and discuss your medical condition with the nurse. I do trust that she's doing the best she can to take care of you, but
That's not a misdemeanor, so sort that out in the felony court as to whether or not you qualify for mental health care.
Well, I'm already in mental health.
That's a different case. But there's things work differently in the felony land.
I have a felony?
They charged it as a felony for aggravated assault on an officer.
I didn't touch an officer.
We'll look that out for that.
I can't even kick an officer with my knees.
They're hearing everything you're saying, so go get your handling, go talk to the nurse, and we'll sort it all out, all right? Your attorney will come out to see it further. Person. Right.
Morning, sir. Is your true name Amir Person?
Yes, ma'am.
Here's a time set for an initial appearance. There was a warrant issued for your failure to appear at your arraignment on November 22nd and again on December 6th for three charges of burglary in the third degree and theft and control of property. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I'm going to appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. The state is asking that you be held on bond. Neil?
Your Honor, if I recall correctly, this is the same amount on the warrant.
Yeah. Thank you.
State submits.
Carter?
Judge, if you're not inclined to release him, I would be asking for a much more reasonable bond, given that he has been homeless for a month. $5,000 is clearly excessive. So I'd be asking for a much more reasonable $500 to $1,100 bond.
Thank you. So thank you, Carter. So Mr. Person, based on your risk for non-appearance, I'm going to order that you be held on $5,000 cash or secured bond, pretrial services if posted, no contact with the alleged victim or incident location. Your court date is an arraignment in Pima County Superior Court on January 16th at 1:30 p.m. You are to possess or consume no alcohol. You're going to be monitored by pretrial services if you bond out. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. What was that date again, Your Honor?
The 16th?
15th. Thank you. I got one question. A lot of people move to a
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Jaime Andres Quintana?
Yeah.
All right, this is the time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of aggravated domestic violence and possession of drug paraphernalia. We are also here on several city court cases where you have failed to appear, and we will address those in a moment. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Madi, which agency? That's okay. I'm going to appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you in this matter. State is recommending that you be held on bond. Neil?
Your Honor, the state is requesting $40,000 plus plea trial release. This person has an extensive felony conviction of violent crimes. He has an extensive record of convictions of DV misdemeanor charges involving violence, as well as multiple cases of interference with judicial process. He has a history of failing to appear. He's likely looking at mandatory DOC if he's convicted. He's an NVCA, yes, he's about a 6. Looks like he's on parole. I'm not sure if there's a DOC hold, but this individual is alleged to have gone to the victim's residence and repeatedly pounded on the doors and windows, has at least 3 convictions within the last 84 months, is a dire risk to the community and specifically to the victim. $40,000.
Carter?
So, Judge, we'd be asking for a much more reasonable bond in this case. I think that there should be a DOC hold, so just a bond that he gets credit. think $40,000 is excessive given his unemployment. So I think $1,100 bond should be sufficient.
Thank you. So, Mr. Quintana, I am going to find that you're a danger to the victim and a danger to the community, and also a flight risk. I'm going to order that you be held on $40,000 cash or secured bond. Pretrial services, if posted, there is no DOC hold. You are to possess or Sir, it's my turn to talk. You are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, no firearms or weapons, monitoring by pretrial services, no contact whatsoever with the alleged victim or that person's residence and workplace. You do have an active order of protection that is in place. Your next court date is January 21st at 1:30 p.m. for a domestic violence preliminary hearing. And now we're going to talk about your city court cases. Based on your failure to appear, these cases are from 2022. I'm going to order that you are held on $500 cash bond. Your court date in for those matters, and we're talking about an assault, disorderly conduct, and criminal trespass from 2022. Your next court date is January 17th at 1:45 p.m. in front of Judge Maldonado, Tucson City Court. You're to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, commit no acts of domestic violence, possess no firearms or weapons, no contact with the victim or their residence or the incident location. City public defender is appointed to represent you in those matters. Do you understand?
No, Your Honor, I was told that I'm going to go back to prison and do all sorts of time for these things, and I don't see why alcohol or returning to places would make a difference when I should be in a state prison at the time, but I am understanding.
You'll have to talk to your attorney about that, sir. I don't know what's going to happen with your parole case.
Vasquez.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Gustavo Alejandro Vasquez?
Yes.
The time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on charges of criminal damage. You also have a misdemeanor DUI charge that we'll talk about out of Pima County Justice Court. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. It looks like there's a notice of appearance from Mr. Torralba, who's.
Good morning, Your Honor. Omero Torralba on behalf of Mr. Vasquez. Thank you.
Good morning. So I will, do you want me to do the same? Okay. So I will relieve the public defender's office, but I will note that defendant has hired Romero. In the event that doesn't happen, Mr. Torralba, the public defender's office will be representing him. So, but I have noted your notice of appearance. State is recommending that you be held on bond. Neil?
Your Honor, state is requesting a $5,000 bond in this case. When police arrived, they noticed they observed the aftermath of a rollover accident. It was later determined that the defendant has allegedly indicated that he had left a bar after drinking, was driving home in the HGN, and all of the other indicia for DUI were there. And what we're looking at, Your Honor, is this appears to have been drunken street racing that end up with the vehicle flipping and crashing into a ditch. Your Honor, this person has demonstrated that they are a risk to the community. We're looking at not only street racing, which is dangerous in and of itself and has proven fatal in the past, but also drunken street racing. $5,000.
Thank you. And Mr. Torralba, do you also represent the defendant in the DUI, the misdemeanor?
Yes, I will, Your Honor.
Okay.
And they can be general appearances, Your Honor. I've known Mr. Vasquez his whole life.
Okay. I'll just note that he's retained you. And Mr. Torralba, is there anything you want to say?
Thank you, Your Honor. To please the court, Mr. Poston. Mr. Vasquez is 24 years old. He is a local chef in Tucson, owns a restaurant, lives with his parents. He just opened up the restaurant within the last few weeks. Lives with his parents. His mother, Martha Gonzalez, is available just to show some family support. She's on Teams by phone this morning. He has absolutely no criminal history that's relevant for this case. He is a lifelong member or resident of the city of Tucson, and he's an active and a law-abiding citizen. But for this event, granted, I understand Mr. Poston's argument that suggests he's a danger to the community.
Counsel?
Pardon me.
It's Poston.
I'm sorry, Neil. I apologize, Mr. Poston.
It's fine, Amira.
Thanks. I would urge the court to consider that, yes, there are two factors here. One is whether he's a flight risk. I would suggest, Your Honor, that that's not an issue this morning. You don't have a person with any kind of history. He's represented by an attorney. His family owns businesses here. His father's a physician. I've known him for his entire life. I don't think flight risk is an issue here. The only thing that remains, pardon me, is whether he's a threat to the community. I would say, and I would suggest, Your Honor, with all due respect, Mr. Poston, is that albeit last night, there is no danger to the community. I would suggest to Your Honor, I know that Your Honor's been on the bench for some time, folks that are accused of these crimes don't go out and commit these crimes right after their release. As a matter of fact, I would suggest that it is a proverbial wake-up call, and folks in this situation actually take additional steps with if the proper conditions are put on them, no alcohol, maybe PTS supervision, that you actually get quite the opposite of the danger to the community. While we all understand that he's presumed innocent of these offenses, the fact that this offense was the guess was there may be some speeding, and certainly there was because of the rollover, we can understand that. But it does not suggest that there's a danger to the community. This was a single car rollover. It could have been a lot worse, but could have and should. I don't play into this. I would suggest, Your Honor, based on who you have before you, and most importantly, a lack of criminal record and no danger to the community, pretrial supervision is more than enough that's going to ensure that he'll be back at his court dates, and that the members of this community don't have to be worried about, some road hazard, danger to the community. Unless Your Honor has questions of me, I don't have anything further.
Thank you, sir. So, Mr. Vasquez, I am going to find that a bond is appropriate just based on the nature of this offense. I'm going to order that you be held on $5,000 cash or secured bond, pretrial services if posted. When you post the bond, sir, you are to not drive without a valid license. No alcohol or illegal drugs are going to be monitored by pretrial services. You are to not drink and drive. And then we need to also talk about your, I'm sorry, a second here. Your court date is January 21st at 1:30 p.m. That is a preliminary hearing in Pima County Justice Court. Regarding the misdemeanor DUI out of Marana City Court, I am going to order that you be held on $500 cash bond. When you post that, same release conditions: do not drink and drive, do not drive without a valid license, no alcohol or illegal drugs. Your next court date is okay. So the issue with Marana is the court date is today at 12, which if Mr. Vasquez is going to bond out, I don't know if he's going to be able to make that court date. So we're willing to put that on Monday.
Thank you, Your Honor. That would be certainly helpful.
Okay. So is it the same time? 12? Yes. Yeah. Yes, Monday. Okay, so that would be Monday, January 13th at 12 p.m. That's for your arraignment, sir, in Marana City Court. I'm sure your attorney knows where that is, but we are going to give you the address and phone number for your convenience on your paperwork that you take today. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, that's it for today. Thank you.
Your Honor, I don't have anything further if I can be
Thank you.
excused.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Trouble.
Thank you. Mr. Poston, take care.
Good morning, sir. Is your true name Steve Aaron Vigil?
Yes, it is.
All right, this is a time set for an initial appearance. You've been arrested on a charge of possession of a weapon by a prohibited possessor. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. I'm going to appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you in this matter. The state is asking that you be held on a bond. Neil?
Your Honor, in this matter, given the circumstances, $1,000.
Thank you. Carter?
Yeah, absolutely, Judge. Thank you. I would think that Mr. Vigil should be released to pretrial services, if not on his own recognizance. I would like to note that there was no use of the weapon in this case. He is he made a comment that he was a prohibited possessor, but Judge, that's not from a prior felony. It's not from, to my knowledge, a domestic violence incident. It's from an interesting contesting of a order of protection. And in that sense, Judge, if I can argue probable cause briefly, I think in a post-Bruin world, once again, that's unconstitutional and nevertheless probable cause. I know Neil might say that that's to be dealt with in the appellate issue, but I think in a post-Bruin world and its progeny, that these are that what it takes to be a prohibited possessor is changing rapidly. And he can't be charged for being a prohibited possessor on something like that when he's constitutionally entitled to his weapons. But back to release conditions, if I may. He has ample community support. He's lived in the community for a very, very long time. He has confirmed housing with his wife, who does welcome him back. His wife is also employed as a probation officer, Judge. I think that supervision combined with the supervision of pretrial services should be ample supervision of him. Once again, no criminal record to the extent that I have any knowledge of. Lifelong Tucson resident. He owns his own business as a contractor, and he has multiple kids. He's not a danger to the community. He's not a danger to his family, and he's not a flight risk given his ample ties and business ownership. So, Judge, for those reasons, I believe that he should be released to pretrial services. That could also help get him some mental health treatment, if that is up to his concern.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I would ask I would point out that Bruin isn't nearly the blank check that counsel has made it out to be, because in the case of Rahimi, the Supreme Court did rule that persons that were a danger to others or a danger to themselves were considered legitimate persons to have their constitutional rights to firearms, to keep and bear arms restrained or outright revoked. That stands by its original statement of $1,000 released to pretrial.
Thank you. I am going to find probable cause. I am going to allow Mr. Vigil to be released to the supervision of pretrial services based on lack of any criminal history. Mr. Vigil, it's concerning that you allegedly made threats to harm yourself and had the weapons. So I would, you are to possess or consume no alcohol or illegal drugs, possess no firearms or weapons, surrender the firearms that you have, and you're going to be monitored by pretrial services. Your next court date is January 29th at 1:30 p.m. for a preliminary hearing. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, that's all for today. Thank you, everybody. That concludes our IA.